Hello and welcome back to another Zug guide on Broadside Gaming. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Witch Hunter Captain, which is my favourite variation of Saltzpyre. I've got a lot of playtime on this Saltzpyre. I think I'm 35 plus 143. It's pretty decent. So we'll be going over my favourite build that I'm using and another optional build that you can go with as well. So for the first build, it's all based around the falchion, the axe and falchion, and the built hook. So all of these weapons are interchangeable with this. And so first of all, we'll have a quick look at the talents. So as normal, we're going with Walking Judgment. Damaging multiple enemies in one swing with a melee weapon grants you temporary max health, always good. And for this one, we're using Flens, because the bleed is actually really good. It doesn't look great, but when you're hacking through hordes and stuff, and especially on Cataclysm, that tick it really does help. And then for the 15 row, we're going with Assassin. Deal 20% more damage to staggered enemies. Each hit against a staggered enemy adds another count of stagger. Headshots and critical hits instead inflict 40% bonus damage. See, that's mostly why I'm using this. For the secondary, the headshot and crit, because it is big and it's really helpful. I tend to use Wild Fervour, which grants increased critical hit chance to the entire party for 5 seconds. But if you wanted to go slightly more selfish, you could go for tagging enemies increases attack speed by 10%. But I tend to lean more towards crit, because crit just increases your throughput, like massively. I tend to stack crit until I have a consistent uptime of swift slaying, like almost 100%, and then I'll look at attack speed. So for the 25 row, I would always suggest Castaway. Just for this, the pushing an enemy increases stamina regeneration by 40% for 2 seconds. There are other ways you can go in this, but I find for Legend, it's Legend you can go either way with the other option I'll show you. But for Kata, I would always say use Castaway, because you have to block. You have to be able to block. And just regenerating stamina is always good. But if you're playing Champion or Legend, you can switch over to Always Prepared if you wanted to go with the brace of pistols. I would only suggest using Always Prepared if you're using the brace of pistols or maybe the repeater handgun. But if you're looking to play Kata, then Castaway, always Castaway. And for the final row, Fervency. Animosity grants Victor guaranteed melee critical strikes for the duration. This is massive, and I fucking love it. So, say there's a couple of storm vermin or a pack of storm vermin in front of you. You pop it, tag, and you just aim for the face, and they will be dropping like flies. With Assassin, Fervency, tagging, you will just be taking these things off in 1 or 2 hits. I tend to favour the falchion, because I just find it's got better crit, and it's safer. So it's just easier to block with. I find the playstyle nicer than the bill hook and the axe and falchion, even though the axe and falchion does technically do more damage. But that is just my preference. So obviously with this build, you can use any of the 3. You can use the falchion, the bill hook, or the axe and falchion. Right, so I'll quickly go through the stats I'm running for this. Again, big shout out to Royale Cheese. All of the stuff that I'm using, I've learnt from his guides, and he has a phenomenally well detailed guide, and I would highly suggest everyone goes and looks at them for more details, because they can explain this a lot better than I can. I'm just doing a rundown of how I'm using his build and how I'm sort of adapting it to my playstyle. So if you need more detail, please go and check them out. There should be a link in the description below. So actually there should be a link in the description below of all of these guides to the more detailed version that they've put up. So on the falchion, I'm using crit chance and block cost reduction, so no surprises there, with swift slaying. On the crossbow, which is what I tend to use more than the brace of pistols are more fun to play with. The crossbow is more reliable for me, for just being able to snipe and snapshot things. So for this I'm using Power versus Monster and Power versus Skaven, hitting those all important breakpoints, and Conservative Shooter, because you want to be aiming for the face and headshots with this all the time, so this will keep your ammunition high. For the necklace, I'm running health and block cost reduction with Bark Skin. So pretty standard. You know, a lot of my other builds are using this. And for the charm, I'm running Power versus Chaos and Attack Speed with Decanter. Decanter, I might change that to either Proxy or I don't know. I'm not entirely set on the trait, but the properties are pretty set in stone. And for the trinket, again, I'm using the Legend version, which is Curse Resist and Crit with Shrapnel. I swear by Shrapnel these days. But for the other weapons, if you did want to switch out, for the Axe and Falchion, it would be block cost reduction and attack speed. And for the Billhook, block cost reduction and attack speed again. If by all means you can use whatever you want. So if you want to look at the axe I'm using, which is block cost reduction and crit with swift slaying, and the flail is crit and block cost reduction with swift slaying. So I'll just quickly linger on both those a little bit longer. So if you wanted to use them, you can. I just don't tend to use them that much. Although I did have quite a lot of success with the flail in Chaos Wastes on Kata. For some reason, it did really well. It was actually the easiest weapon I used in there. It might just be for the shield breaking and armor damage, but Cataclysm was quite unpleasant in the Chaos Waste for Saltzpyre. So that is that's the pretty standard build I'm running. And if you wanted to switch over to the Bracer Pistols, I use Power vs Skaven and Crit with Scrounger. And again, if you wanted to, you can use any other ranged weapon, but I don't tend to. I tend to stick to the Bracer Pistols or the crossbow. I'll just leave those on the screen for a little bit longer so you can check out the properties. But if you did want to use the Griffin Foot, I do have this optimized at the moment for my Bounty Hunter, so they're not going to be the exact right properties, but you can use it if you wanted to. And also the Volley Crossbow, which is Power vs Skaven and Crit, which can be used with this build. I don't mind the Volley Crossbow, it's quite amusing to play with, it's quite good for just horde clearing if you're dicking about. Like I said, all these weapons are viable, it's just dependent on your playstyle. So yeah, and then we'll have a quick look at the Rapier build as well. So I'm doing both builds I use. So for the Rapier build, I'll switch over to that, which would be block cost reduction and crit. And I would always use the crossbow with it. So it's the same properties, but we do need to change out the trinket. So I'm changing from Power vs Chaos and attack speed to Power vs Chaos and infantry to hit the breakpoints. And if you wanted to use this build, you also have to change one talent from Flens over to Death Knell. Because with the Rapier, you always want to be aiming for the head. As you can see, headshot damage, especially with Assassin, is quite large. Body shots, you know, they're not that impressive. It's alright for horde clearing, and then you've got your special to snapshot things. But it's all about the headshot. And also with Saltzpyre, he's got his Eternal Guard, which is one of his Witch Hunter Captain career traits. So no light attacks can break your block, which is always nice. It's not super awesome, but it's still pretty good. It's better than not having it. And the most important thing, if you're playing the Witch Hunter Captain, is, for the love of fucking God, tag everything. Always tag your main target. I think the original button for it is T, but I've had it switched over so long now I can't remember, but I've got it set to Shift because I play the Witch Hunter Captain quite a lot. So every main elite or special or monster I'm on, I'm continuously refreshing the tag on it to get that 20% extra damage. It is basically what you're there for, and they've changed it. I know a lot of people have been confused by this, and looking at older videos and older guides where it said the damage is only for you. It's not, it's team-wide. The 20% damage is for everyone attacking that target, but only if the Witch Hunter Captain is in the party. So if you've got any other variation of Saltzpyre, tagging is just saying, you know, that's the main target I'm focusing for, and you don't get the damage, obviously. It is only for this career. But yeah, that is my Saltzpyre. You know, I love Saltzpyre. I used to play him quite a lot in the first game, and I still do. I just find him a really amusing character to play, and he's got a really nice, versatile kit. You will find he's a lot squishier than the Kruber or the Dwarf. Not quite as squishy as the Carillion, but you will need to learn to block and dodge, because you take a couple of hits and you're down. And for his ultimate, which is Animosity, Victor pushes back enemies and boosts nearby allies' critical hit chance by 25%. That is massive, especially when you join it up with Fervency. Animosity also guarantees you yourself guaranteed melee critical strikes. You pop that, and you just tear through anything. You become an absolute threshing machine. So, I hope you've liked my guide, and I will continue making more. So, if you've got any comments, anything else you'd like to see, please, comment down below. I'd love to hear back from all of you. So, thanks very much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I shall see you all again next time. See you later.